Welcome to the end of the world, survivors. You're tuned in to the last voice on the airwaves, Harper, or as I've come to call myself, DJ Clueless, broadcasting from an abandoned radio station that somehow still hums with life. Don't ask how, don't ask why. All I know is the dead roam outside and we're still here for now. This is where we fight back. I'll be your guide through the madness, sharing survival tips, whispers of safe havens, and the occasional existential crisis. Because let's face it, when the world's gone dark and the dead outnumber the living, the only real question is what's next. Stick around if you're still alive. Welcome to Zombie Apocalypse Survivor Radio. This is your DJ Clueless Harper, and I have more news. It's not really news. It's more anecdotal. As you know, we had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we've gotten more things set up, and things are going really, really well. And I was going to tell the story of how Violet met up with Queenie and Priya. But then something happened yesterday that I think I'm going to talk about instead. I was on one of the horses. I have learned to ride a horse. I guess I should say I've learned to ride a horse, y'all. But yes, I have learned to ride a horse. And so rather than taking the bicycle, I took the horse because, because I like riding the horse. The horse is fun. I was at first worried, horses have kind of a clippy-cloppy sound. I was worried headed into town that would draw zombies. But zombies are interested in people, and so far they haven't seemed to figure out yet that people will ride horses. You have an engine, the zombies come running. You start a fire, the zombies come running. You play music, same thing. However, horses, nope, don't care. They seem to only respond to human sounds that they're familiar with as human sounds. So I guess unless, we have some horse jockeys in with the zombie population, they aren't going to recognize clippy-cloppy sounds. I mean, sometimes they come out for any sound, so it is still a risk, but I had no trouble with zombies on the way there. But I noticed as I was coming up, where I was going was, it's a Rural King, y'all. It's not a Home Depot or Lowe's. It's a Rural King they've been going to. I went to the Rural King because they told me that they still had bags of cat food there. And so I figured I would load the horse up with as many bags as at once. The horse's name is Blueberry, for anyone who cares. And I don't know anything about horses except how to get up on one and down and back up again. So the color of the horse is gray. So he's called Blueberry, and that's all I know about that, guys. So I was loading the cat food onto the horse, which required a step stool, y'all. Like, I'm short, it's just, but anyway, so I am on this step stool. I'm trying to put these huge bags of cat food, where I can hold them on the horse. There are some saddlebags and stuff like that, and I have them stuffed with stuff already. So this is just like, like 40-pound bags of cat food, 20-pound bags of cat food. I was at first thinking I could put it on the saddle behind me, but, it's going to slip off. So I just went with, I put it on the saddle and I'm going to sit behind the saddle. I don't know if that would be a workable idea or not at the time. The bags ended up falling off of the horse. I'm getting ahead of myself. Excuse me. So as I am putting these bags of cat food on the horse, I see in a parking lot kind of about a block away. The blocks here are not like city blocks where they're very, very big. There's streets kind of every 50 yards or so almost. So maybe even more quickly than that. So it's sort of A couple blocks down in the parking lot of what used to be a Family Video and is now a nothing. Oh my God, I should go into the Family Video and see if there are any DVDs there. I don't know if they went out of business before or after the zombie apocalypse, though. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Um, one man is shooting at this woman who is running away and screaming and crying. And, I don't go out unless I am, carrying a weapon because there are zombies everywhere. So it's just, I occasionally say things that would sound crazy back in the world. Well, I don't leave the house without my gun. That's not something I would have ever said before zombies roamed the earth. And here we are. So I took my gun and kind of sighted him. I don't think I could have hit from that range. I mean, I've hit from that range off the roof before, but shooting a zombie is very different than shooting a person. And this was like an actual human person, not living dead. So what I did was I hollered because I am a hollerer. So I hollered at the guy to knock it off. I'm like, hey, yeah, I basically yelled, hey, what are you doing? Really loud. And he yelled back, she's Claude. And I'm like, and guys, I sang. I sang back at this guy like a total crazy person. I don't know how many, I'm a theater kid. I don't know how many of you were theater kids back in the day, but like, I believe in Claude, and that's me, that's me, that's me from Hair. And so I sang it back at him. I said, I believe that God believes in Claude, that's me. And he gave me the finger, which was probably an apt response. But I mean, okay, I don't know what to do that you're mad her name's Claude. Like, there's nothing I can do about that, but shooting her seems, you know, crazy. Crazy. And so by the time he took to give me the finger, this woman ran off into the woods and was gone. And this man threw his hands up in the air, yelled some choice words my way, and then he had a motorcycle. I think you can see where this is going, can't you? He had a motorcycle, and he turned it on, and it was a loud motorcycle. And my friends and fellow survivors, I have to say, I get that some people really enjoy a nice, loud kind of motorcycle. I get it. The time for that is past. It's done. You need to muffle that stuff now. You need to muffle the noise of your engines because when you don't, you draw zombies. The clippy cloppy of the horses didn't get the zombies, but his motorcycle sure as hell did. So he guns it, drives right past me, which, thank God, I don't know if the horse is well behaved or just old. But the horse did not spook, even though I could tell the guy was trying to get that to happen. He gave me the finger again as he drove by. Honestly, I've met a slew of strangers, and the only nice ones have been Liam, Priya, Violet, and Queenie. Anyway, I can't believe that's the majority of people. I really can't. But, you know, being mad at somebody for being transgendered during a zombie apocalypse is patently insane. Okay, you saw a woman whose name was Claude. Who cares, man? Who cares? People are going to eat your face if you make a big fuss about stuff. Anyway. This goes back to my whole thing of, in a zombie apocalypse, all of your isms no longer matter because we need every able-bodied human we can possibly get in order to rebuild and survive. Humans are herd animals. So having these bigotries when the world is basically dead doesn't make any sense to me. So I gave him the finger back. I have a temper too. I didn't clothesline him. He was close enough. He wasn't close enough that I could, but if I had taken a few steps, I could have as he drove by. I didn't do anything nasty to him or anything like that, but I definitely flipped him the bird because it makes no sense to me. It didn't make sense to me back in the world. It doesn't make sense to me now. I don't care what other people do with their private regions. As long as they're not doing anything to me I don't want them to do, I don't care. And people who do care just puzzle me because it's like, don't you have enough real life stuff to worry about? Like right now, I'm clearing out this rural king. Well, I was. I was clearing out the rural king, but Mr. Motorcycle Man created a lot of noise. And so the bags of cat food that I was still figuring out how to get on the horse, I was able to grab two of them and get on the horse, and the horse and I, we got out of Dodge. But the zombies were coming, and y'all, I don't know why we still have these fast-moving zombies. Who are the people in this town that have been alive this whole time, but I haven't run into them? Like, I'm not staying at home daily. I'm going out all of the time. It's cold, but I have cabin fever. Half the time when they want the horses to get exercise, they send me because I don't care if I'm cold as long as we're doing something. Um, Part of the reason I took the horse out today is they want the horses to get exercise. So this was Blueberry's exercise. So I'm sorry. He's just a giant horse, and calling him Blueberry makes me laugh every single time. I don't know who named him, but it was probably somebody, not me. um, and all I was told from Queenie and Priya is that's the name he came with. So, maybe they found him someplace where his stall said Blueberry. I don't know. Anyway, so I hightail it out of there, but they're still fast zombies. So I lost another bag of cat food fleeing the scene, because, the horse and I are booking it, and the horse, for not starting at the sound of the motorcycle, um, was definitely done at the first sight of a zombie. Like, the horse was like, nope, nope, I got you, babe, we're out of here. Nope, not even a discussion, let's go. And I appreciate that horse sense. Um, so, so anyway, I will probably be going back to that Rural King this afternoon to get the rest of the cat food. But I'm thinking of maybe bringing somebody else with me, just in case. Zombies don't don't normally hop a squat someplace and just chill. They check things out and then meander elsewhere. The zombies that were guarding my place have been an anomaly as far as I can see. So on the way back, the horse definitely got some exercise because both the horse and I think, were adrenaline fueled to get the heck out of there. So yeah, it was interesting to say the least. Um, and I got back home. I got back home, and I tell you, every time I am gone for a few hours, when I come back, the three of these women have done so much to improve the place. The mural that Violet wants to paint, it's she's gotten primer colors down, as in, we kind of painted the whole building a few times so that it would take the paint, is what she said. So, but she had already started with the vultures. Where the ladder is, she's started painting sky, and she has vultures flying in the sky on the east side of the building, which is nice. And so I was able to come home and see a large portion of this beautiful mural being outlined, with the blue sky part being filled in. So that was really lovely, just lovely. And she's made clouds by, the primer we used, so the wall would take the paint, was white. And so she just didn't paint, and somehow it looks like she painted clouds. I don't know. She's very talented. And, she's doing this with a variety of paints, some of which are spray, some of which are not. Um, but it is a fun project and a project that she's doing simply to beautify the space because, as Violet says, we need beauty now more than ever. And I agree with that sentiment. And she said, we're working so hard to survive. We need to have creations of beauty and things we're surviving for. Survival isn't enough. It needs to be survival that has a purpose, that has beauty behind it. And so I very much agree with that. She's, again, very talented, very impressive. Um, but she had that done. But, the fencing we have now is really impressive. And don't get me wrong, anytime we do anything, I can think of 5 or 6 ways to improve it, as can everybody else. And I'm worried at this rate we're gonna end up with like 7 fences, each stopgap for zombies. Um, but while I was gone, I'm gonna tell you what they told me from their perspective. Violet was painting, and Priya and Queenie were installing some gates because, they want to allow the horses to just sort of roam in the pasture free, but they also want gates to take them in and out of. Am I actually explaining how gates work? Good Lord. Harper, come on. This is why we call you DJ Clueless. Come on, woman. Okay. So anyway, they were installing gates for the portion of the fencing that goes to the pasture, which is, I mean, they were all within view of each other, but kind of far apart because um, the building with the radio, well, the building where I live is on one corner of the parking lot, and it's a big parking lot. And the pasture starts at the other end. So they could see each other, but you'd have to shout to be heard. And the woman named Claude, who had run away from my guy, showed up there. And she seemed very nope, nope, nope. That's not how they told me. How they told me is Violet was painting and somebody taps her on the shoulder and she turns around, paintbrush in hand. She was on the ground looking at the building, trying to decide what to paint next, and someone tapped her on the shoulder, and she whirled around, having not heard anyone. And she said she was so scared by this woman that she almost slapped her in the face with a paintbrush just in reflex from being tapped on the shoulder. Um, and she yelped a little, she did a yape, which was loud enough that Priya and Queenie kind of stopped what they were doing and came over. And talking to this woman in the parking lot, she very much wanted to be part of the community, had a bunch of questions about, how many people and everything like that. And once she found out that it was just the 4 of us, she had no interest. And not as in she didn't have any interest because she was looking for a larger group. One minute she was talking to them, they said it was just the 3 of them and one additional person. And they said it looked like all of the expression leached from her face. Her jaw went slack, her eyes became unfocused, and she said, "Oh," turned around and walked away. And, wouldn't come back. Violet tried to follow her, and the woman just acted like she wasn't there. And Violet said that the vacant look on her face freaked her out so bad that she just didn't even want to bother. And so, you know, they don't know if the woman was unwell or what. There was some thought that maybe she was bitten. Maybe she had a zombie bite someplace we didn't see, and it just wasn't a large enough group for her to, well, in Violet's words, and we just weren't a big enough group for her to detonate in. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, they do kind of go off like a bomb, the bitten. They really do, and bite everything in sight. So that's an excellent way of putting it. But she just sort of wandered off. Like, they offered her water, they offered her food. She didn't respond. She just left. And I was kind of like, well, sometimes future problems just eliminate themselves. What I wanted to say is, well, sometimes the trash takes itself out. But it does make me wonder if this woman was creepy at, you know, the dude bro on the bike, and if that's why he was so mad that she said her name was Claude, like, I don't know. Um, Maybe she said it was Maud and he heard it wrong. Anyway, I need to quit trying to figure out what other people are thinking because I gotta be real honest. Through most of the zombie apocalypse, what I realized is they aren't thinking. Most people are just emoting and looking for a place to land with that emotion. So, so yeah. Um, but I got back and they showed me how to take care of a horse after the horse has run away from zombies. Um, Priya and Queenie took there's four horses altogether, and they took two of the others to go and collect the cat food that I dropped and to check out to see if Rural King was overrun. And we have this, the trailer they arrived in was designed to hold a lot of stuff, but Queenie made a different sort of trailer for the horses. It's like a flatbed kind of thing. So you can lay a bunch of cat food on it and then take it home, but it's like nothing to the horses. It's like wood with some wheels. So they went and finished getting all of those bags of cat food that I had left in the parking lot, like a crazy person avoiding zombies, and packed it all up. And they had a bunch of other stuff that they were getting at Rural King too. So it wasn't just my stuff they were picking up. I would have felt bad and gone with if it had been, but honestly, now that they're here, the cats aren't just mine. The cats have very much taken to the fact that there are four people now. There's an entire cat faction that follows Violet around and sleeps in the barn with her. So, Priya, Queenie, and I all have cats that, seem to prefer us inside. And I think that's interesting. I don't know how Violet's not freezing her butt off in the barn. I really don't. It's cold. Um, you know, this far south in Illinois, we don't get harsh winters. It gets cold, but you don't usually have like deep snow, except maybe once or twice. And even then, it's not deep snow, it's just snow. So this week, it's been down to like the teens at night. So, I haven't checked out her sleeping quarters in the barn. I've mainly just been there for the horses, and I don't want to intrude upon her privacy, but she says she's comfortable there, and she is a grown-up woman, so I am taking her word for it. And I have to appreciate somebody who enjoys the company of cats and horses more than people. I am not offended in the least. I I am somebody who was always pretty happy to have books and didn't really need people that much. It really wasn't until the zombie apocalypse occurred that I realized, oh, I do need people. It's just normally there are so many people that are thrust upon you all of the time that you don't notice the need because it's constantly being met. But yeah, definitely noticed that I needed people during the zombie apocalypse for sure. So yeah. But anyway, what they are doing now is preparing for the holidays. They have everything decked out in Christmas lights, and most of which are battery operated Christmas lights. They found a few that were solar powered. I hate that the zombie apocalypse happened, but the timing was really good as far as solar power goes, because there's a lot of solar power around. If the zombie apocalypse had held off another 5, 10 years, we might not have noticed much change at all. As far as powers, electricity goes. I think we would still notice the supply chain breakdown and the lack of doctors and all of the other things, but, you know, we wouldn't have recognized the lack of power. We would have still had some. But we've been very lucky in finding solar power and finding things to keep us going. So, but yeah, today was just a weird day. I have in my head that anytime I meet strangers, I am going to be friendly and I'm going to talk to them and they're going to come back to our community and we'll have more people and we'll have more, more people equals more ideas about what to do. It equals more skill on how to do things, and every time I have run into new people who haven't come to me, it has been, I don't want to say a disaster. Let's say disappointing. We'll say disappointing as opposed to a disaster. But this was no different. This was definitely very disappointing. I did not like, I would have loved to take both of those people back to our place. But with Violet being not 100% sure, but mostly sure that this woman was bitten, um, probably good that they didn't come back to our place, I guess. The more the merrier is kind of where I'm operating right now because we have a hard winter ahead of us. We have more work to do than I can really wrap my head around as far as building a community that people will want to live in and feel safe in. And sometimes all of that work, all of that effort seems like a lot for just 4 people, and not like, "Oh, we're doing a lot." I mean, we're putting in all this effort for 4 people? I mean, it's a lot of effort for just us, This is maybe we should wait and use the fancy china until somebody famous gets here. DJ Clueless, everybody famous is probably dead. Sorry to say, sad to report, but, most of the famous people lived in cities, and cities fell fast. So, oh my god, can you imagine being attacked by a zombie Brad Pitt? I just now thought of that. Oh my gosh, because the zombies are moving. They're moving. They're not staying in one place. We are hearing reports from Liam's camp about hordes that are so large you can't see the end of them from the vantage point the hordes are being observed from. Hordes that are a mile long, if not bigger. And zombies were once humans, and humans are herd animals. And I think that the zombies are turning into giant herds that, you know, and what that means is maybe there are some Hollywood hordes that are gonna come out. Right before you die, you're like, "Oh my god, it's Annabeth Gish, it's Brad Pitt, oh no. Oh no, they're going to get me. Catherine Hahn really is eating babies, oh no." Anyway, I don't know that many celebrities, guys. If they aren't in a lot of movies or a lot of TV shows or very niche. And I would have said Jensen Ackles or Jared Padalecki because I used to be a supernatural girly back in the world, but I'm pretty sure they're in Texas. So those would be Texas hordes, not Hollywood hordes. So anyway, I am in a good mood. I am in a good mood in spite of the weirdness of the day because I have other people to talk to about that weirdness. And that makes the weirdness a lot more tolerable for me. And so this is the portion where I say, hey, if you haven't found your people yet, or if they haven't found you, keep trucking, stay alive. It will happen. They will show up. I really was despairing that I wouldn't find anybody. And then these 3 goddesses made flesh showed up at my door. And yes, I will always deeply revere these 3 women because they saved me. And they saved me by existing. It's not that we're building the place up. I was doing that. I mean, slowly but surely. Without the food I collected, we wouldn't be able to build the place up. It's the being able to talk things through, being able to bounce an idea off another person, being able to sit down to a meal and laugh together over something stupid. It's everything that humanity is that I was without for way too long, that I was without since the evacuation camp. And that was a really long time. And if you are still alone, someone will show up. Your job is to survive, survive, survive. And if they don't find you, maybe we will. So keep trucking and stay alive. This is DJ Harper, out. This is Harper, signing off for now. Remember, the world's still turning, even if it feels like we're standing still. Survive, adapt, endure. And when the dust settles, we will rise again. We will rebuild from the ashes. Until then, keep moving, keep fighting, and whatever you do, survive.